Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is Leading Off, brought to you by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. It's me, Joey P. Joe Pizzapia. With me is the Welsh, and of course, it's the Peanuts and the Cracker Jacks, and all of us hanging out, talking baseball. We've got games back today. I know yesterday we had games too, but it was like, whatever, games. Now we've got a full slate of games tonight. We can dive back into all of the props, which there's a lot today. We're going to do some DFS stuff today. Lots of fun things happening in the world of baseball. And Welsh, one of my favorite things this time of year for the next few weeks is when fantasy analysts pretend that they are Ken Rosenthal, when fantasy analysts on Twitter pretend that they are breaking news, where they literally take news from somebody who does this for a living and then post it on their Twitter or social media things where they're like, apparently the Yankees don't, sources tell us or tell me, like, no, not a source. You read it in an article somewhere, you jabroni. You're not breaking this news. That is my favorite thing. I love that word.
I thought you were going to say just the trade deadline, but you went another. Anyone you want to call out? Anyone you want to call out here? Because I know this
news is the best.
Yeah, no, I know this. I see a couple people where it's like you'll get, Jeff Passan breaking news, and then 3 minutes later you'll get someone, instead of giving that a retweet, they'll just regurgitate it in their own sentence.
Johnny Roto.
Johnny
Roto says, per sources. Like, come on, dude. It's like, oh, it's just my favorite. I love it. It makes me laugh.
I also enjoy that.
It's, if you want to retweet and comment about it, sure. If you want to talk about what the fantasy implications of these players potentially moving or not moving, that's all great. Like, that's good. That's what you're supposed to be doing. But when they legit just like copy and paste it as though they're the ones reporting it, it just...
I got to know off air. When we get off air, I got to know who the person that comes to mind. I'm dying to know.
I don't even know. I just saw this. Erickson just sent that to me. This is completely a secondary thing, because just before it came on, I saw somebody post something about that. And I saw Friedman's little tweet about the other thing. And I'm like, well, who's that? I don't know.
Well, I did see some fantasy football drama of a guy that took an article and then literally just regurgitated all the points. And like he did, one thing that's beyond me, I might be getting old, is the influx of here, and a lot of people do it that we know, but the influx of like, here are the 5 reasons of the da-da-da, and then these thread tweets are so
the thread tweets
now.
That's the algorithm of how you get people to follow you now, apparently. Yeah, which is funny because what really they are called is articles. See, so what you do is you used to write an article. Now people write thread tweets instead, because they can. And they probably get more looks and views than some of the articles in some places. That's the truth.
Maybe some hate looks too. I saw this guy, I don't remember who their name is in fantasy football, and it was bad. It was like really, really bad, where they took verbatim things in a just full-on written article, made a thread about it, and it didn't go well. It didn't go well on the internet.
Is this the person that we're alluding to who had the... I don't know who that is. We'll have to talk after. Like I said, no idea.
I feel like it is, because it was kind of a little Twitter controversy yesterday, more in the fantasy football world. But to the point, though, there are a whole lot of, whether it's articles and other thoughts or news pieces that are then regurgitated and shared as original. It gets a little up there.
Here we go. Jesse's favorite thread tweet was yours about a Saw remake.
Yeah, that was many years ago. I lost the most followers.
This sounds familiar. I lost the most followers that day. Good for you.
I had about a 65 thread tweet where it was when the rumor of the new Saw movies were coming out with Chris Rock, and I essentially wrote the script to 4 new Saws, and I did about 65 tweets. I think I lost a lot of people that night.
My favorite is Dr. Glenn just got very zen on us. He said, and then the articles now are mostly just embedded tweets, which is true. So articles have become embedded tweets, and tweet threads have become articles. Oh, Lord. Let's just talk baseball. Let's start with Mookie Betts hitting a go-ahead 3-run home run against the Giants. Sean Murphy, the good Irish lad, the good catcher for the Oakland A's. He swats a 3-run dinger against the Tigers. Frankie Montas in the game, fan 5. So return for Frankie Montas. Very important. Thank goodness it was the Tigers on the schedule too. The A's had to be like, oh, please let it just be the Tigers. Can we just, okay, yes, that's the first start back. The Tigers, perfect. 5 innings, great. Okay, now put him in bubble wrap, right? Well, you got to put Frankie Montas in bubble wrap in some sort of, safe space room, just with I don't know, happy music playing and hope that he stays healthy.
Yeah, like Luis Castillo, Frankie Montas, they should just be rolled around the field. Just nothing can happen. Those big like air water casts that happen when you break your arm or something like that. They should just put them in it now.
Huge
and
full
just
body,
make
like
sure
a cocoon. He should just be in a full body.
Oh yeah, and then he'll come out a butterfly. He'll come out a Frankie Montas,
or he'll come out looking like Wilford Brimley. And if you get that reference to cocoon, then we can be friends. All right, Jordan Alvarez or Yordan Alvarez, whatever you want to call him today. He hit a homer. Also, the home run of Alex Bregman. Boom. Yeah, back on the board. Let's go. Aaron Judge also hit another home run. He's up to 34, so he has not stopped. Jacob deGrom threw 5 innings, 60 pitches, simulated a game. I guess we take a deep breath for now. What's our number of starts for Jacob deGrom the rest of the season? What are we going?
Let's see. The projections had him, I think, at 68 innings, which what would that be relative
10 starts?
to? Probably it's probably 11 starts, 10 or 11 starts.
Really? That's it for 68 for deGrom?
Well, I mean,
you're just thinking he's very limited. You think he's a 5-inning pitcher now?
Well, no, I mean 6 times 10 would be 60, and then 68. There's another. That's like 11 or 12 starts in there. So, I mean, look.
I was giving him more benefit of the doubt that he was Jacob deGrom going 7 and half innings or 8 innings sometimes.
He's projected at 10. BatX has 63 innings, which I think it might have dropped just a tiny bit, and Steamer down to 57. So no need to even guess. I was going to say 11 was probably going to be my guess anyways, but 10, 11 starts as a projection. I'm with it. He felt good. We're getting him soon. I'm staying optimistic. He ain't changing my mind, regardless of all the arguments. Get him out there. Put him throwing 100, striking out 9, and all you guys are going to shut up.
This is me watching Jacob deGrom starts for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
If you're watching on the YouTube, I'm looking through my fingers. I kind of look and say every time he throws
like
a pitch,
a scary movie. You're just like, ugh.
Yeah, like Saw. I mean that actually. This is the new Saw movie. It's making me sit in the downstairs level of my house and watch Jacob deGrom starts. That's the
video pops up. He's like, do you want to play a game? And then Jacob deGrom start just comes on, and everyone's like, "Oh God, please!"
I'll give you plus 150 on the first 5 innings of Jacob deGrom.
If Jacob deGrom makes it through, you get out. If Jacob deGrom gets hurt, you're done. You're like, oh no!
I love the Peanuts and the Cracker Jacks because now Wilford Brimley has become he's all over this chat. By the way, he was 49 years old when Cocoon was made. He looked like he was 140. That's absurd if that is true, and I'm sure it is because Wonky Penguin never gets numbers wrong. So that's just hilarious. All right, let's continue on here. It says the Mets and Astros are interested in Josh Bell, and also sources tell Joey Roto and whoever else is out there that apparently the asking price for Soto is too much in terms of prospects for the Mets and Yankees, to which I roll my eyes and go, okay, sure, here the game is officially on. So what you know now is that the Mets and Yankees have talked with the Nats, which that tells us exactly where things are, which is where we thought it was yesterday, which is those are the teams at the end of the day that have the most to gain, the most to give, and that's what it's about. I don't want to spend all day on Soto because we kept doing
I will say though, I'll admit though, the proposed trade offers are pretty wild. It is just the entire system of all teams with a major leaguer. And the only reason I don't vibe with that is the Corbin money. Like it just doesn't make, that's where I think the disconnect is here. And I think it's a disadvantage unless a team is completely out. I don't think it's necessary. Well, okay. Maybe I think about it. Like if the Mets go out and say, hey, listen, this is way too much, blah, blah, blah. And then when they pull a trade together, knowing, what they can do, that it's not going to look like literally 7 prospects, blah, 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 then it looks like they got even more of a win, I suppose. But I just don't see how the rumor, like the Yankee rumor one is like Volpe and Dominguez and literally every other prospect. If you're also taking on Corbin's money and there's no guarantee,
well, that's the thing. The Nats are going to try to have their cake and eat it too, and they're going to find out in this market they can't. They're going to have to either eat the Corbin money or get better prospect. Like you're not going to get both. So it's either send off Corbin along with Soto, and just you're taking one prospect and some other prospects, but you're getting one.
Still do fine. You're just not going to get 7 prospects. You're not going to get the top 7 prospects in a really good system.
Yeah, and he's going to get traded. I'm telling you, I mean, it's.
Well, I was about to say, is your
happen.
percentage changed at all?
Still 99. I still say 99% by the deadline. I think it's still going to be before. I don't think they're going to wait that long. I think this is a bad situation, and the longer they wait, it's going to get worse. And they're not going to go into the offseason with this.
So next week, you think he's getting traded, is what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Right.
Where are you at? You were at 40%. I think last we talked, right?
I moved up into the 60s when I'm starting to see the numbers. I think this is, I'm kind of back to pure 50-50. I think the offseason makes the most sense with a lot of time to do it because of the ask and the extra money that's going to be added on. But all it takes is one really hyper aggressive team to jump in. And I don't know, I would love for, like a hardcore, trade analyst in more inside of MLB to let us know, like how much of a return loss would there be in the offseason? Like, is there a perceived loss with a half a year and not buying at the deadline in the offseason? So they should trade now, or is it still about 1-1?
I think there is. And I think the one team where it's less so is the Yankees, because they've still got that Aaron Judge convert. Like that's Aaron Judge wants too much, so we decided to go after Juan Soto instead. That pivot, I think, holds water for the Yankee organization. Whereas for the Mets, it doesn't. They're in it now. They haven't won enough. The Dodgers, I keep telling everybody, like, the Dodgers have a lot of money invested in a lot of guys. Like, I just don't think the Dodgers at the end of the day are going to be this team. But we'll see. we'll see what happens there. And they've got some bad contracts too, the Dodgers. Let's not forget that. Speaking of the Dodgers, they're cautiously optimistic that Walker Buehler is going to return. That makes one of us, because I am not cautiously optimistic about this at all. Your thoughts on the Walker Buehler news from Dodger camp, because they say, quote, everything I hear from the training staff and Walker specifically, everything's trending in the right direction, says Roberts. I mean, everything just sounds fine. Everything's just fine.
It's all peachy keen.
And friends just eating fajitas. It's fine. But yeah, I'm not there.
I mean, I think you could be optimistic about it. Am I banking on it? Not necessarily. I always thought like mid to late August was a possibility, and then maybe you get him for your fantasy playoffs. So I think they want him back. I think they need him back as soon as possible. I think you could theorize that his return could play a major role in what they do during the trade deadline. The other thing, though, and you have it on here, Andrew Heaney just started up a more intensive rehab assignment. He pitched 5 innings last night out here in Arizona in the Complex League, where he went 5 and he struck out 8. But he did give up a couple homers out here.
I'd like to rename rehab assignments into Heenies. I'd like to just call them
Heenies. Well, yeah. Okay. I mean,
he had a 5-inning Heaney.
IL stints or Strasburg's, and then rehab assignments.
No, Strasburg. You save Strasburg for something else. That's like a catastrophic, just explosive. That's like post Chipotle.
It's a mean word.
Yeah, like you had Chipotle in a milkshake, then you have a Strasburg after that. That's what you do.
Oh, it's a Strasburg. Such a bad Strasburg.
But yeah, the Heaney. You know what I think? And this is, again, maybe this is me being grumpy and stuff, but I think this is classic. Yeah, looks like Walker Buehler says everything's going to be fine, to give them a little bit more leverage in some kind of trade discussion for somebody for a pitcher.
I would be
like, well, we still got Walker Buehler, who we think is going to be okay. So, we don't really need another starter, but they do.
If I were a fantasy owner that was holding on to Walker Buehler with any hopes, I would take this like positive news, and I would be looking to trade him. I'm just, I don't have a lot of interest in him this year. He wasn't really pitching at a incredibly high level before he got injured either. So I would be moving off him in redraft if there's even the possibility.
Well, and that's the point, right? Well, like, he wasn't very good before the injury. So was he not good because of the injury? And if so, what makes us think that he's going to come back healthy and better? And everything comes back in this perfect confluence of events, which I don't think is going to happen.
Yeah, just long-standing track records you could go with, but over 4 ERA, lowest K percentage of his career.
Yeah, those
are things to be a little bit worried about.
Something's wrong.
Sure. Yeah,
I agree with you. This is the time to trade him. This is your one shot. So do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. Let's talk about this. John Gray. 6-1 over his last 7 starts here, a 1.81 ERA, a 10.5 K per 9. So how about them apples? How about John Gray? These last few starts looking sharp again yesterday. I'm excited about this. Well, he was one of my favorite free pitchers coming into the draft this year, where he was just there. And I know a lot of people probably dropped him early, and I know he's probably circulated somewhere else. But if you held on to John Gray, this has been the reward. I mean, he hasn't been good. He's been excellent. I mean, this is a guy we got to really start talking about this.
Few more strikeouts yesterday for that prop. It was at 6.5, a pretty high number. It was really, really good matchup.
I think, yesterday, right? Yeah.
He only hit 5, and he got pulled around 94 innings. He didn't get into, I believe it was the 7th. They didn't let him go into a lot of ground balls, just pitching to contact, which was good. But yeah, no, he's been phenomenal this year. He was one of those major late targets for me and for Bogman. Almost a 10K per 9 on the year so far, which is a phenomenal run. Dropped his homers a little bit, and he's got a better xFIP than his ERA. His ERA is just about a 3.5. He's got a 3.2 xFIP. So it's been a really, really phenomenal run, and he's becoming a more dominant strikeout pitcher. And that's kind of that's a big key to the success with the rest of the, not giving up a whole bunch of runs and picking up some wins. It's a good run for John Gray. He's a huge value right now.
That rotation in 2 years could be very good. John Gray, Rocker, and Leiter. That could be a really good rotation in 2 years. And you know what? Maybe you have, Josh Young, who's missing this season, maybe he comes and becomes a superstar player. I mean, they've got, they've shown you that they're willing to spend money, and they've got a core there of at least some major league talent for a change. And I like what Texas is doing. I think they're turning a corner as an organization here.
I'd like them to be aggressive in a trade market and go to the Dodgers and do the one thing I really, really want in this world is to trade for Walker Buehler, so we can call him Walker Buehler, Texas Ranger. That's all that
would be heaven. That would be great.
I could have one thing. Yeah.
All right. If I could just have one thing. You sound like that great Steve Martin sketch from SNL. You know that one? If I had one wish, it would be for all the children in the world to hold hands at one time and sing and blah, blah, blah. If I had a second wish, that he just continues on these, it would be for $50 million paid to me monthly for the rest of my life.
God, I love Steve Martin.
If I had a third wish, well, the first wish would be the kids. The second wish would be the money. The third wish, it just keeps going on and on. Sources tell somebody that multiple clubs believe the Red Sox are indecisive, and they could possibly be a team that are now sellers at the deadline. And honestly, with the Chris Sale injury now, there's a part of me that wonders if this is the right move for the Red Sox. Your thoughts on the Red Sox after the Chris Sale injury being sellers now at the deadline, and what that might mean to somebody like Xander Bogaerts, who maybe he's on the move?
I think the word sellers with them, this is just my opinion, is a lot smaller than what the sellers for the Nationals look like. I don't think this is a team that, because when you hear it's sellers, are they like, oh, they're going to trade Bogart? They're going to trade Devers? I just don't think so. I think they would just trade serviceable pieces. Maybe they move off a couple pieces that would have helped them win now. I just don't see them making massive dramatic moves in any direction. It'd be great to see, they've got I think they've got a couple guys they kind of need to figure out long-term. What are you going to do with Jeter Downs, Jarren Duran? Maybe you could be, I think the better word in my opinion for the Red Sox is they could be more active in the market. I don't know if it's like a big selling
retooling. There's
a good term for it. That's how I would see it.
I've been called a retool many times in my career. Many times. Also, here's Bob Nightingale with a funny thing here.
Oh, Bob.
Remember the Athletics drafted Kyler Murray with the number one overall pick with their number one pick, in 2018, trying to convince him to choose baseball over the NFL. He just signed a $230 million extension with the Cardinals. He'll average $46 million a year. And the A's entire payroll for this season is $48 million, which I thought was a fun tweet. I actually thought that was a fun fact worth sharing.
That is fun. No, that is a super fun. I would also point out, this is fun, but, we can throw out some numbers for, Juan Soto. Baseball's got there's a little bit of money in baseball, too.
A little bit.
Once Juan Soto gets $500 million,
and then you have the guaranteed money and how long, you can also walk after baseball most of the time.
100%. Yeah, I don't want to get onto the mean stuff, but 100%. You can remember your family, and you can not have. I'm not gonna say they're not all have horrific thoughts, but yeah, baseball's brutal. Actually, there was somebody. God, I'm trying to remember who it was. Des Bryant or some football player that was just talking about this and was like, hey, these guys, you got to get more guaranteed money. These quarterbacks have got to get more guaranteed money. Look at Deshaun Watson, who did. And these guys, these players, the lifespan outside of 50 is becoming a lot less. Football is a brutal, grueling sport. There should be money involved, but there also should be a lot more health care. Well, the decision is rough, I think, in general, on both sides of I think people make the argument that there's better money in football because it's the elite of the elite in baseball that do it. But the toll that baseball has on these guys is not even one iota of
Well,
what
there's also
football
different,
does.
like, Kyler Murray just got paid now, right? But if he had a more serious injury last year, he wouldn't have, right?
Yeah.
So he missed a few games. And I know we're not turning this into a football show, but it is interesting because you're going to get more of these players, these big 2-profile star athletes. This is not going to end. And the choice of baseball or football is an interesting one because baseball tends to have more guaranteed money, tends to have a longer shelf life for the player and a better afterlife for the player. And that's what they were trying to sell Kyler Murray on. But Kyler Murray also played quarterback, and that position's a little bit different.
Yeah, it
Had
is a little
Kyler
bit. But
Murray
also, if
played
you're
running
like,
back, I think he would have been an Oakland A. I think that
if
would have been
also
the
you're
other.
like a kind of a, even a good young player, look at the arbitration deals. Well, what couldn't you get? Like $100 million. And I know we can break that apart. I still think it's ridiculously stupid that guys are, signing 10-year deals for $100 million. But at the age of like 21, 22, you can make $100 million in baseball and have some type of opt-outs. And if you play well, you're going to get another contract.
Mhm.
I mean, Kyler Murray's probably how many years? I don't make this football, but like how many years was that? Because is he going to get another big payday? You probably can still get 2 or 3 big
He
paydays as a young
might.
superstar of guaranteed
It's a
money, and
5-year
it
deal,
starts at
so he'll be in his early 30s, so he probably will. Again,
maybe
physically for
maybe you
him,
get
that's going
one
to be
more,
tougher. But
yeah,
it's an interesting
for a
argument. I thought it
tiny
was an
guy.
interesting tweet that he's going to make more this year than the whole Ace payroll. I
Yeah,
thought
I think it's a little
that's a
overplayed.
fun fact.
It is a cool fun fact, and it's fun to be like, hey, look at the A's payroll. And he would never get that money there, but a team like the Dodgers would,
Right.
probably end up paying. Look at the young stars are going to make hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of $1 million on their first
Like, what did
contract.
Drew Jones get in the signing bonus? Do you remember? Like, what was his?
8.189, like essentially $8.2 million.
And look, I know there's taxes and agents and managers and all that stuff too, but that's still pretty good for a kid.
Pretty good money. Pretty good money. And then when you get to
Yeah.
the majors and you are a good player, they're going to buy out your arbitration or want to buy out your arbitration. And there's some serious money. Or even if you don't, arbitration cases can put up some serious cash. 10, 15, 20 million dollars into arbitration going into free agency. I don't know. It's a fun, cool discussion, but I think it is very like blanketed, by the way, of people being like, hey, look, he got 250. Isn't baseball stupid? And it's like, no, I think he'd be fine if he stayed in football. He's a super talented player and he could have got paid.
Yeah. Here's a question. I know the White Sox, we all thought were geniuses to lock up all these guys that they did long term, very young. Do you think looking back now, 3 years later, that it's been still working out for them?
Well, I'm sorry.
Like they locked up Eloy Jimenez, they have Luis Robert, like, they threw a lot of money at their young talent to stay up. Market's going to go crazy and they're going to get an opportunity here to, at some point in time, I think be on the better end of what contracts look like for star players. But unfortunately, those 2 star players haven't quite lived up to their expectations. So
yeah, I mean that's the risk, but I don't know. They're still faces.
They're still young.
Yeah, I think it's still they're good deals all around for all of these players. Like I said, the only thing I would truly say is I wish that baseball would like have more player options in it in the beginning. Like these guys that sign these 10-year deals, I think there should be more mutual options on both. So a team, let's just for argument's sake, like Eloy Jimenez doesn't work out. A team isn't stuck with a guy for 5 years and it completely decimates the organization. Look at a team like the Nationals that are just screwed by one contract. The Diamondbacks did it. I always recall this. The stupid Diamondbacks did it with Greinke, which cost them Goldschmidt. You should have more options in these contracts instead of throwing out these 10, 12-year deals. I think those are bad for baseball. You can sign them, but they should have some more out clauses on both sides. I think it makes the game a little bit better, but who am I?
You know what else makes the game better? Betting on it over at BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Special offer for new users. Bet $10 to win $200 when you bet on any game, regardless of the outcome. Sign up today. Use the promo code leading off. One word, leading off. Download the BetMGM app or go to betmgm.com and put in that promo code leading off today. We've got Lucas Giolito at 4.5 for the strikeouts. Give me the over on that against Cleveland. Kevin Gossman at 5.5 on FanDuel. I'll take the over on that one as well. We have projected at FantasyPros at 6.8 Ks. Ohtani's at 7.5 on FanDuel. I still think you can get the over. I know that it's at plus 104 here, so it's very tempting. Scherzer is right around 7.5. That's at plus 124. I would take the over against the Padres. It's not a very good lineup. And then Ty France at 1.5 total bases. You're getting plus 140 against your Queedy, I believe it is today, pitching for
Ooh,
Houston.
I like that one. I
So
love the
that was a
Ohtani
huge
one.
number. Plus 140. You don't see that very often on a total base like that.
No, and Ty France, that's a good bet. I like that
Good.
one. That's just a good, just throw it out there. It's great money on. Love the Ohtani one, even though it's a big number, simply because it's Atlanta. You know, this is one that he can easily get into. Two others that I highlighted. I usually don't take unders, and to be frank, I would probably say usually my under strikeout ones are dicey. But there's a number on FanDuel, 8.5 strikeouts for Charlie Morton today because at the end of the day, I believe it's up against the Angels. The Angels. The Angels are number one strikeout team in baseball. So I get why that number is there, but that's a wild number for Charlie Morton. I'm not betting a Charlie Morton, let alone am I betting a guy like Shohei Ohtani to go 9 strikeouts. I'm going to take the under, and that's over on FanDuel for Charlie Morton. And I like Goldie total bases today. I think it's minus 125 over on DraftKings.
Yeah, Morton's been shaky again lately too. He had a rough start.
9 strikeouts.
That's tough. That's a tough sell because he's got to go, 7 innings probably to get that. I don't know if that's in the cards for him right now. I don't know. We shall see. I'm with you on that under for sure. All right, starting pitchers tonight on DK. You got Gausman at 9.1. You've got Scherzer at 10.4. Ohtani at just 9K. I like that one. I like Ohtani and Gausman as a pairing tonight. Otherwise, you got to pay up for Burns and Scherzer, who are expensive. The cheap guy tonight is Lucas Giolito at 7.8. This is a huge game here for the White Sox. They need to, or get off the pot here in this series against Cleveland. They need to take this series. If they should get swept by Cleveland, that would just be horrendous. Tyler Anderson is at 9K too. So look, if you want to go cheap, I wouldn't go Anderson over Gausman because Gausman has more K potential, I think. So I go Gausman at 9.1 and then Lucas Giolito. If I want to pay up for Burns and Ohtani, you can go down to Giolito at 7.8 or Zach Gallen at 7.6 and still do pretty well. But Ohtani, Gausman with Giolito, that combination of those two big 9K arms with the 7.8 guy, that's how I'd like to attack the pitchers tonight. Over on the FanDuel side, Kevin Gausman 10.1, Burns all the way up at 11.3. I mean, it's a great opportunity against the Colorado Rockies in their own building in Milwaukee, but it is very expensive. So I'll pivot to Gausman or even Giolito at 9.1 in tournaments, or Tyler Anderson just 8.7 in a tournament on FanDuel. That I feel much better about too. That lets you get everything you want, including Houston, the Yankees, and the Cardinals, looking at them too. And I had Bregman go yard yesterday, so I'm just going to roll with Bregman for the weekend. Just give me all the Bregman. Let's go. Welsh, where are you going to go for your home run call today? And what do you think about this matchup? We've got the Seattle Mariners and the Houston Astros. This is important now because Seattle, beat up the Rangers, beat up this team, blah, blah, blah. Now you're going to go play Houston. Now I think we're really going to see who Seattle is, right?
Oh, it's go time. Like you said, it is go time. They've got you're coming off the streak. You can't give any excuses. You can't drop a big series to the Astros in embarrassing fashion. I think it'll be very, very telling the future of the decisions they make. But my home run call, I'm going to go with Paul Goldschmidt. I went with my total base numbers coming off that All-Star game. Let's get a big fly for Paul Goldschmidt and get going.
There you have it. All right, everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy your baseball. We'll be back again Monday to do it all again. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For the Welsh, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.